In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Law, I wish to state that on August the 25th, 2017, the notice of this meeting of the Upper Township Committee was posted on the official Township Bulletin Board, mailed to the Cape May County Gazette, the Atlantic City Press, the Ocean City Sentinel Ledger, the Herald Times, and filed with the Township Clerk. Tonight's meeting is being video recorded up until the closed session portion of this meeting and will be available on UTTV Channel 97 on the Upper Township website. I hereby direct that this announcement made a part of the minutes of this meeting. I would ask all to rise for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Barbara, for the first time in a long time, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Coggins is absent tonight. Mr. Corson?
Present.
Mr. Young?
Here.
Mayor Palumbo?
Here.
4 members are present.
Mr. Coggins is recovering from minor surgery. He's doing well, but he's uncomfortable this evening, so he won't be joining us. And welcome, Barbara, back.
Thank you very much.
Quite the time yourself.
Great to be back.
And we're happy that you are back.
Thank you.
I am happy because Dan's taken roll a couple times and it's been very difficult.
Not as good as you, Barbara.
Well, it's great to be back. Thank you very much.
All right. So, would someone like to approve the minutes from August the 14th for both the regular and closed session meetings?
Motion to approve. Second.
Are there any corrections, deletions, omissions that anyone's aware of? Hearing none. Call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins? Or Mr. Corson, I'm sorry.
Yes.
See, I messed up already.
She just made me feel good.
You just got here.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried, 4 in favor.
All right. So, Scott, do you have anything for us this evening?
Mayor, just have one thing. It's a public service announcement. As we all know, it's hurricane season, we've all been over the past several days seeing everything that's happened down there off the coast of Texas, the unfortunate issues in Houston. But we want to take this opportunity to bring that to our residents and tourists as far as the fact that it is hurricane season. We've added some additional things to our website, hurricane preparedness information, www.uppertownship.com. And I just wanted to also advise those that are beachgoers as far as our rip currents over the next couple of days, because there is a tropical system that's developing off our southern coast. We may have some impacts relative to rip currents and whatnot. So,
Strong waves.
Strong waves and things. So obviously just an advisory to make sure that they bathe and protect the beaches. And that's about it.
Well, you know, I'm obviously reminded, looking at all this stuff from Houston, from the time that I spent a month down in New Orleans, just a few days after Katrina hit. And I was telling Dan, I spent the day on the phone on conference calls. There are, from the practice that I'm in, there are over 550 pharmacies that are closed in the Houston and coastal areas. So there's some talk that we may do what we did in the past for Katrina. But I think it just emphasizes the expenditures that we've put forth for the Office of Emergency Management. And, you know, you're the director of that, but, you know, we have made some major changes since 2005. And I think it helped prepare us for what we experienced with Sandy and potentially what may have happened with Irene, but you never can be prepared enough. And anyone that watches the news and they're getting, 35 to 40 inches of rain, there's not much that can be done at that point. And the sad part about it is there's going to be a lot of individuals that are going to have a lot of mold and a lot of issues with their homes after the water goes down. It's a very humid area, as we all know, and it's just going to expand the problem dramatically. So they'll be dealing with that for a long time to come. And whatever, resources are available that we can provide. I saw that New Jersey staged their state trooper rescue went down.
Task Force 1. Yeah.
They were about 2 miles from where we were outside of New Orleans. It was nice to stop in and just say hello, somebody from the area. So, we wish them well and all the rescue workers that are going down to help with relief efforts. So, thank you. Barbara.
Well, I just want to say that I'm very happy to be back, and thank you to everyone for all the flowers, the cards, and the well wishes while I was out. And thank you, I just want to thank my staff for the wonderful job that they did during my absence. And that's it. That's all I have to report this evening.
The summer of 2017 was not a good one for you up to this point, but we are so happy that you're back. So
Thank you.
And let's hope that you continue your recovery.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Daniel.
Nothing at this time, but I do have a couple of things. One, I'd also like to welcome Barbara back, and you were missed, especially when I had to take the role. And then
Thank you.
at the end of the meeting, we do have a number of closed session items, number of contract negotiation, personnel, and potential litigation.
Okay. Paul.
Thank you. Just had to report, we've had some continued minor erosion up at the beach with the different tides. Public Works was out to take a look at that and address those situations. I think we're leaving some of the warning signs up more permanently, I think, over the next couple of weeks, especially since there'll be less staffing with beach patrol as we move through the season.
I was there yesterday and Saturday and and it looked as if we were getting more scarping from Williams heading north again just yesterday. And the heavy waves and the potential erosion that's coming off of what I guess could potentially be Tropical Storm Irma. It's not expected to impact us directly, but the effects of it are supposed to. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. It's kind of dangerous down there, really. So.
And just along that, I've also contacted the Army Corps and the DEP just to keep them apprised of the erosion that's happening, because it is getting close to the Seaview Avenue beach access. We're probably within 50 feet of the toe of the dune where it comes down to the beach.
Right, in front of Lord's house.
Yes. So it's just obviously something we have to keep an eye on and trying to keep.
It's fine up to Williams. It's just as you start heading north, that's when we start seeing. And I just kind of hope that channel isn't starting to redevelop again. That thing that was a nemesis, 4 or 5, probably more like 6 or 7 years ago. So.
That's all I have to report. Thank you.
Okay, Barbara.
I just have one item this evening, need your approval, if you so choose, for our engineer, Mr. Dietrich, here to attend a floodplain management conference in Atlantic City on October 25th and 26th. The cost is $325.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you, that's all I have this evening.
Congo Park, we're moving along down there with the improvements. We're making split rail fences up. Most of the grading's been done, irrigation's done. So we're hoping to do something with the sod here coming up in the next couple of weeks. It looks good down there from what we've done. And I like the idea of putting the bollards up to keep people off the asphalt. So that was a good idea there. Amanda's Field, we're still working and picking away at that. I got to meet with Scott and this week and finalize the plans for the new press box. That's the next thing we have to get up so we can finish our grades. And then I'm working with baseball to see what we can do as far as maybe some financial help from the baseball organization towards that goal. We're not going to be ready 100% for fall ball, but we definitely can make this spring season coming up. The only other thing we have is, again, the Upper Township Fall Fest and the Pumpkin Run. I'm hoping to have a meeting within the next 2 weeks as far as for any volunteers, and they're starting to line up, which is a good thing because we're going to need a few for that day. Also, we need to sit down and discuss on the fees. Dan, that's something we've done in closed session?
Closed session about liability and insurance issues, yes.
Okay, all right. And then we have had discussions to get the insurance issues squared away, so everybody's on the same page. Other than that, you know, things seem to be moving along pretty well.
Okay.
That's it.
Mr. Barr?
Just remind everybody that school's about ready to start and to pay attention out there. There's going to be all kinds of buses all over the place and kids running all over, so keep in mind your traffic safety. Other than that, that's all I have for you.
Mr. Corson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We did have the Chiefs meeting Wednesday. We actually had it here at Town Hall. And I'd like to resurrect the Knox box thing. And maybe if we could start researching and put together an ordinance for the Knox boxes.
You mean for the fire and EMS type?
Yes.
We talked about that before. I think that we needed to contact Jeff Pearson as to why they stopped before. I think we were going to reach out, or someone was going to reach out to the business organizations to see what their opinions were on it. I know you brought that up when you first got on the committee. I think that's where it was left, if you want.
I have talked to a couple business owners. I got mixed reviews about them. But
Is it
a
voluntary?
couple opposed, one.
Well, no, I mean, is the proposal that this box be voluntary?
No. I mean, not to the
Well,
meeting I was at. I mean, I was at the same meeting.
Well, this is the first I've heard it since.
They're looking at it as a safety measure for not only the firemen, but for the facility, because if an alarm goes off and they don't know if there's a fire there, I mean, they could break the front door down, so.
I understand. There were
It makes more
issues,
sense
liability than
to
concerns.
have a Knox box than,
I think business owners previously had expressed concerns that who would have access to the codes. It's a volunteer system. They're not full-time. Some of the EMS and fire safety folks are not full-time. So I think that was what was expressed
That was a
previously.
concern.
Yeah.
And there was neighboring communities that had problems, but it's all over. I mean, they use these things all over the country.
With volunteers.
Yeah, I think those issues, from my own experience, are less prevalent than a lot of people think that they are.
What would happen is there's Jay Potter's more familiar with it than I am. In the truck, there's a locked container with the key for the Knox box. You enter the Knox box, boom. It's not, and with the technology today, if you punch in your code to unlock the container, it records who took the key out.
I don't disagree. I'm not trying to say no. I'm just saying that those were the reasons that I was given as to why the township didn't pursue it previously. So if we've gotten past that,
I think we've gotten past a lot of that.
You're looking for an ordinance change to require that you may need a business registration, then you may need the licensing, because how are you going to know who has one and who doesn't? So we'd have to look at that too, because that's probably how they police it and make sure that it's done. And that's another issue that.
or couldn't we do it through the tax office?
Operating businesses, I mean.
Like any
I'm not
commercial?
sure the tax
A
office.
commercial property.
I'm not
Commercial
sure.
properties.
Excuse me?
Commercial properties.
You could have a list of commercial properties, but then what if it's not operating, what if it's leased and all that?
We'll take a step farther. Avalon and Stone Harbor has it, or I think it was Stone Harbor, they said has it for all the residents.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
we require fire inspections, correct?
no, the state does fire inspections.
That's what I'm saying, but they have to have
On
fire
change of
inspections.
occupancy, we don't. We have certification that they self-inspect. So there's a lot of licensing that we don't do. It's a manpower issue, and it's also an expense to the taxpayers and residents. So that's something we may want to look into. We can require it, but how are we going to police it and how you
I
going
mean, if we had our own local fire inspector, that would be probably be the policing agency for that. But at this point, we don't have our local fire inspector. The state does it now.
What we could do is, it's obviously Curtis's department, it's, I guess, the mayor as well.
I was there as an OE,
So
for OEM.
maybe we can talk and bring something back with as a proposal to the committee once we address all these issues.
Okay. I only have a couple things. One, we're heading towards the end of the summer, so that means that a lot of our guards are beginning to go back to college. So we'll have stands throughout Strathmere and even Beasley's Point up until Labor Day weekend, although some will be manned with one man instead of two, and they're going to do the best they can to cover it. They will also be open on weekends for September 9th and 10th and 16 and 17. It was felt that in the past couple of years, there's been a number of individuals that have gone to the beach, and because the weather's still nice in September, so we should have enough to be able to at least man 3 or 4 stands on those weekends. And again, just because of the conversation we had earlier, reminded to swim in front of lifeguards. The waves are rough, and the undertow rip current is really running strong, and it's been running strong all summer, so please use caution with that. We also had an incident, I'm not sure, Paul or Scott, if you're aware, but there's been several of the fence posts that have been taken down and used for bonfires on the beach. I believe Prescott was one of the streets.
And you're talking about the post and rail fence that go along the new beach?
The trail going down from the street to the beach. They're taking off, whoever's doing it, I don't know. It's happening at night, and they're taking the long fence posts, cutting them up and lighting them for bonfires. There's probably about 6 or 7 streets that are missing railings, so we're going to have to replace them. So, I mean, some of this happened during the week. Last week, I went out with one of the lieutenants over to see the different areas where it's really the long posts, the railings, not the stuff that's in the ground. So, but we still need to replace it because people, especially people that are slow to move and need the railings to hold on to, won't have them in some of the streets. So with that good news, we have better news. We'll move on to the presentation for Shauna now that she came here. So I know that Hobie works very closely with Shauna, and I know that she's done a great job for us for a lot of our celebrations, and it's greatly appreciated, all the work she does. She's the most organized person out there, and certainly keeps this one under control.
We're definitely AB.
Hobie, get over here, you got to do this. But anyway, I want to read the resolution and ask Shauna to come up so that we can thank her for all that she's done for us with our past celebrations, and hopefully for the many more celebrations we have planned for the future. So it says, whereas the spirit of patriotism, the Township of Upper has provided a family-friendly event at Mansfield each year to celebrate the 4th of July. Township of Upper Special Event Coordinator Shauna Mulford is responsible for the organization and continued success of these celebrations. Whereas the Upper Township Committee wishes to acknowledge and thank Shauna for her continuous efforts and positive impact throughout this event, professionalism in making our 4th of July celebration a great success, and providing our community with an enjoyable family-friendly event. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee on behalf of the citizens of the Township of Upper to extend to Shauna Mulford recognition on her outstanding commitment and dedication to the Township of Upper for its celebrations, and a heartfelt thanks and gratitude for a generous contribution of time and service to the community.
If I could add on this too, Shauna works on all the special events, the Easter egg hunt. She's the one who puts together the 25,000 eggs and the people we have stuffing it, as well as the Fall Fest. And I'd also like to thank the whole staff from Let's Party Painters for all the work that they do and the dedication from them also. Couldn't do it without them.
You can do the presentation. There you go. Thank you. Really good. Oh, yeah.
Down here tight.
So we got a nice picture.
There you go.
Thank you.
Oh, you broke the camera.
Thanks.
Again.
we send it around?
You get it? Did you get it or no?
No, I'm sorry.
Hold on, see?
Yeah, you know.
You're on stage.
Let's do this.
At this point in time, bring your princess up to sing.
Down here.
You want what?
There you go.
Oh, okay.
See, we don't know what's going on.
Okay, thanks.
Michael, you're very domesticated here. That's good.
Somebody had to help him, he didn't figure that out.
Thanks, thank you.
Thank you again for all that you do for us.
Thank you.
That's right.
Take them home. So your mom's a star. You guys can go home.
You gotta come here and sing.
Thank you all so very
All
much.
right. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
That's why I wanted to bring it.
Thank you.
Have a good night. All right, so we'll move on to resolutions. These glasses are like strong. I can't believe I can't even see. It's like-
Try these here.
No, I'll get by. It's better than me trying to squint, but, so you want to do the resolutions, Barbara, please?
Absolutely. Commemorating the 16th anniversary of September 11th, 2001.
Move the resolution.
Second?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 3, supporting the County of Cape May's effort to secure grant funding for the construction of a pedestrian bicyclist path along Roosevelt Boulevard, County Route 623 over Crookhorn Creek.
Move the resolution?
Second.
Where's this going to be, Paul?
The 34th Street Bridge.
Over the third, it'll be on the.
So they're going to do it on the side?
They're actually going to build, they want to propose to build a new structure, it'll be on the south side of the bridge, on the side where they're proposing the crew boosters, on like where the old bridge
Right.
was, on that side.
Yeah, maybe we'll get the.
So, is there a thought that this could be done while they do the work that they're starting again in September?
No,
No, it won't be ready for probably
it's a
several
couple years out.
before that, but
Okay.
there's some opportunities for them to get funding, so that this is part of trying to get the final funding for the project.
On a positive note, when the bridge is no longer passable to automobiles, we can ride a bike those into it.
Let's call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 4, authorizing a 5-year extension to the lease between the Township of Upper and the Beacon Animal Rescue for the building commonly known as the former animal shelter located on Butter Road in Palermo, New Jersey.
Move the resolution.
Second?
And they'd like to
Barr?
come.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'll take all the roll.
Okay. Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes. And what I was going to say is that I think Beacon serves a very fine service in the township and are doing a great job in having animals adopted, so we're very pleased to partner with them, so.
Item number 5, appointing James A. Cotton as a part-time employee to the Upper Township Construction Code Office to serve as plumbing subcode official.
Move the resolution. Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 6, authorizing the mayor and township clerk to sign a contract with Comcast Enterprise Services for dedicated Ethernet services.
Move the resolution?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 7, appointing Ruderman Horn and Esmeraldo and Mark S. Ruderman Esquire to act as special legal counsel in employment and labor law matters.
Move the resolution?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion Motion is carried with 4 in favor. Item number 8, appointing Judge Vincent J. Morrison, Judge F. Thomas Hildegast, and Judge Marion R. Ragusa to serve as temporary municipal judges on an as-needed basis.
Move the resolution?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried, 4 in favor. Item number 9, accepting the bid and authorizing the execution of a contract for the project known as the replacement of Webster Avenue bulkhead.
Move the resolution.
Second?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 10, authorizing the engineer to prepare specifications and solicit bids for park improvements at Webster Avenue.
Move the resolution.
Second?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 11, authorizing an addendum to the contract with Triad Advisory Services for administrative consultant services for the Township's COA Market to Affordable program.
Move the resolution?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 12, authorizing a contract with CCG Premium Recovery Group to perform a review of the Upper Township Fire District's workers' compensation accounts.
Move the resolution?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 13, authorizing the mayor and township clerk to sign a contract with Ansero LLC for VoIP telecommunication services.
Move the resolution?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 14 under ordinances. Public hearing and final adoption of ordinance number 10, 2017, and ordinance updating Chapter 30, Chapter 3, police regulations within the Township of Upper County of Cape May and State of New Jersey.
Okay, before I open this up for public comment, is there any further comments from any of the township committee or Dan or Paul?
Well, just to give you a reminder of what this ordinance is, it's to amend our no smoking provisions to include all public facilities, which is athletic fields and buildings both. And also, it prohibits the release of balloons and provides penalties for that.
Right. It's an intentionally released balloon.
Yes.
Okay, would anyone from the public like to address our ordinance 10, 2017? Please state your name and your address.
Ralph Cooper, 611 Drive. I'm the chairman of the Upper Township Green Team, so I'm speaking on my behalf. So I'm just here to thank you and endorse these two changes to the ordinance. The one part's new, the other one is a update for the no smoking ordinance. We've been working for quite a while on different activities with the township. Over the past 4 months, we've been working on about 40 actions. A couple of them have come up as opportunities for improvement, and these were 2 of them. So in recommending these changes, we think it'll be good for the community. There'll also be 2 actions that the committee can use to help with their recertification under the Sustainable Jersey program. I appreciate the activities that we've been doing over the past 4 months. We've worked about 40 actions, and hopefully by the September deadline, we'll be able to get them turned in for you, and we can get the township certified, recertified under the Sustainable Jersey program. So, we submitted some petitions that we had collected during the July 4th activities of Manchester Field, and those were hopefully under public comment for the no smoking part. We had talked to different groups, the Surf Rider Foundation chapter came and talked about activities. So I think you've had some good public input, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
No, we wanted to ensure that the balloon release was included in there, mainly because there's a lot of wildlife that's affected by it. When they, a lot of sea life, turtles, even some of the mammals that are out there are, for whatever reason, they look at, the latex balloons and the mylar balloons as being food, and they, ingest it, and then they can't digest things. So, we're doing our best to help the environment, and I also think it helps to curtail some potential trash pollution that may occur from balloons that have broken and stayed by the, roadside or something like that, so.
You're on Argentina.
Environmental Club. I went over and spoke to them in the spring and just mentioned this as one of the many things we're working on. And they sent a letter to the township and endorsing it. So they were very concerned about it because they can see it, not only the fishing, but they can see the results of the activity. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the Township Committee on this particular ordinance?
Hi, my name's Kim Malenside, I live at 37 Allen Road. I also work with Keep This Safe, so I just here for supporters to say, I think it's a great idea, and it's a great ordinance, and I'm just saying, yeah, thanks.
There you go. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, it appears that there's no other public comment, so I'll close the public portion and entertain a motion for adoption.
I'd like to make a motion, we adopt ordinance number 10 of 2017.
Second.
Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried with 4 in favor. Item number 15, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 13, 2017, and ordinance amending revised general ordinance, Chapter 18, flood damage control, and Chapter 19, land subdivision and site plan of the Code of Upper Township.
Okay, so this is an introduction, and we'll need a motion to have a public hearing and final adoption on, I guess,
September
what?
25th.
September
25th.
25th?
Yes.
Would someone like to make that motion?
Motion to have a public hearing on ordinance 13, 2017.
Second.
Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 16, under new business, Stephen and Margaret DeMarchi request to vacate a portion of Mistletoe Avenue.
Someone, Paul?
Yes, thank you. This is a section right off the Tucko Road. Mistletoe is one of those paper streets that parallels Elmwood Avenue. As you go back in that subdivision, there's a lot of the different paper streets, and we've over time, as people have tried to consolidate their lots, and we've closed off several of these unimproved right-of-ways. This one actually fronts out the Tuckahoe Road, and I would recommend that the township vacated. There is no purpose that we would have for this unimproved right-of-way in the future, and it would just kind of clear up any potential road access that would conflict with Elmwood Avenue out to Tuckahoe Road.
Would it be the entire length of that,
I would
from
just...
Monmouth Avenue to Tuckahoe Road?
Yes.
And has the other adjoining property owners consented? Have they consented or not?
Behind the applicant, in that block 494, the township is the property owner, and then we would have to contact the other property owner. So if you want other property owner that's really affected by this.
That's what we usually do. We usually make sure that the other person that would have frontage doesn't object to it.
And then we deed restrict it.
It's
right?
not,
To the,
well,
it's a
this is not the
vacation.
sale, this is
Okay.
a street vacation.
Okay.
The next item is the sale,
Sale.
we'll talk about that one.
Nothing to it.
So do we move forward, I guess, with that?
So you want a
application?
motion to,
Just to move forward, right, it's going to require an ordinance to vacate the street, so to get the other property owner's consent, and then we'll move forward with an ordinance if we get it.
Need a motion on it?
Yeah.
Motion to move forward to draft an ordinance for Mistletoe Avenue?
second?
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Colombo?
Yes.
Motion's carried. Item number 17, Stephen and Margaret DeMarchi request to purchase township-owned property, Block 494, lots 12, 13, and 14.
Paul, what's the mathematical calculation on how much their resulting lot would be, size-wise?
They would still be undersized. The township owns the balance of the lots in this block. And this kind of becomes a peculiar situation because if you look at the entire block, it's barely a conforming lot. It's 54,000 square feet in the entire block. So the township portions of the lot, we have about 30,000 square.
Does that include lots 1 through 10?
Yes. we have
Township owns
lots-
all of the lots in that block,
Correct.
except for this applicant?
Correct. And the lots that we own, we have 30,000 square feet. They have about 25,000 square feet currently. So it's, neither of us have a conforming lot. It's almost,
It would be rational, I think what he's saying is it's up to you, but it would be rational to sell the entire lots and not just part of them.
Yeah,
And there's no reason for the township to keep a small portion of lots.
exactly.
So you can make that decision if you want.
I mean, right now, we have a 30,000 square foot lot, or if we sell a portion of ours, we're gonna get ours down to about 27,000 square foot.
correct. I mean, the only possible second use for it would be, for the township would be, you could, put a
Pump station.
like Habitat for Humanity, put an affordable housing unit at that location. But from a zoning perspective, it would be more practical to try to make an existing home that's already in that block conforming with the zone. I think that would be,
Would they be interested in everything, or are they just trying to square a lot up?
we had some, they were actually in the zoning office talking with Shelley because they were trying to put in, a shed and a pool, and, so they are looking to try to further the expansion of their home, but I think it would be better to, I don't think they broached that full subject, so I can't speak for that, but I think from a planning standpoint, that would be more appropriate.
Are both, is the property, I guess, to the west that are developed?
To the west, you mean on?
Across the street, we're vacating.
Yes, there's a house there.
The problem is, if this piece was put up for auction, could that person bid on it too? If the street's
No,
vacated.
That's why I asked the size. If it's amount less than is required for development, it can go just the adjoining property owner, and there's only one, so it wouldn't be,
If the street's vacated, there's
The
two.
street vacated.
the other person could buy it, yes. But it would be with the condition, once you vacate the street, it would be with the condition that it'd have to be consolidated with your existing lot.
And that property across Mistletoe is in the same situation. This property owner is being severely undersized, and they're in about 25,000 square foot size also. But it's from a functional standpoint, this is the property.
You need to also understand that if you don't vacate the street and sell the property, there is only one person that can buy it. If you vacate the street, another person can buy it, but they would have an undersized lot that you would deed restrict. You can only build one house on, which means they could go in for a hardship variance to build a house. So,
I mean, I prefer.
frankly, there's a reason possibly not to vacate, but that's,
Or wait till the land sales completed before you do the street.
if you vacate it, yes.
I prefer to sell the whole thing and square it up. I mean, it's just, it makes more of a, like Paul said, a better planning sense, but.
I agree.
So is that a motion?
Well, I guess,
We have to throw it to them, see what they think.
You have to give us
So you want
direction.
to table it and
Just
then
give
bring
them
it back?
direction and go
Well,
back
you'd
to
have
them and see
to
if
give,
they're...
well, we wouldn't want to do an ordinance if they're not interested in buying in the whole thing. It will obviously depends upon what the value is, and that's usually determined by an appraisal. We ask for an ordinance to, they'll have
and
to,
if we sold the whole thing, they might want to withdraw their vacation request.
so we would have to get a minimum bid with an appraisal. We usually ask for an escrow for that, get the minimum bid, and they would have to make a determination. Frankly, since they're requesting, they would have to supply the escrow for the appraisal, and that's the threshold issue. Would they be willing to?
What they would have
Do
to
that.
do it, whether they were buying.
They'd have to do it anyway, but it's obviously double the, 2-3 times the amount of land is going to be more expensive then.
I say table it and
Yes, that would be.
go back to them and see if they're open to the offer. They may not have thought that it was even possible.
A viable option, yeah.
All right, so we'll
Is that
put
a
this for
Is that a
unfinished
motion to
business.
table
We'll do it
this-
for unfinished
this
business
item?
for the next meeting.
Yes, that's a motion.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Item number 17. Item number 18, New Jersey Department of Transportation request for an ordinance designating Kendall Lane and Tuckahoe Mount Pleasant Road, County Route 664 as one-way streets.
What kind of impacts are going to have, Paul?
Well, to some degree, they've already been constructed that way, because when the DOT reconstructed that, they, they're probably delayed in their request. They probably should have requested this about 2 years ago before the project even got underway, so that when they constructed a one-way street, they could actually, that was enforceable under the municipal code. The Kendall Lane is a township road, so that's, it is very narrow, and it functioned, it really functioned before they even really did the work on the project as a one-way street, just from its width. So I would recommend that would be one way. The Mount Pleasant Road section, it's really just from Kendall to Route 50. That's actually a county road, and I think we get into that same thing, the chicken and the egg type of thing, that, though we can put some restriction on roads, it's really a county road.
We can, and the letter acknowledges that. They ask for us to produce an ordinance with the understanding we would need the county's consent for the county road. County is not, they have consented when we've had parking ordinances and whatnot. We do have a consent that's probably over a year old. The one on Marshallville Road, we still don't have their consent on that yet. So we would have to reach out to the county, I guess, on the one road, and whether or not you think it's appropriate to make the other that you have already sole authority over, which is Kendall Lane.
So what's your pleasure, gentlemen?
I mean, there's no adverse effects from it becoming a one-way street, right?
No.
Basically sign that way.
Yeah.
It's a traffic safety thing that they should be one way, yeah.
Kendall Lane has always been a hazard with cars half off and half on getting down there anyway, so.
So what do you need, a motion to
Just direction from the
proceed with
committee
the
to move
ordinance?
forward. We can move forward on the ordinance amendment and make a request to the county to consent to it. We would produce a draft ordinance, and then could you ask county for consent?
Okay, someone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
The motion is carried.
Mayor, before we move on, one other thing regarding Mount Pleasant Tucker Road. After the construction was completed, some of the public works noticed and notified myself that about the road used to have no truck signs on it, and stretch, they've had a lot of these sand and gravel trucks that used to go down 50 and turn at Marshall and go around, have been going, past the Public Works yard, and they just kind of noticed that increased traffic. It might not hurt to, contact the Bureau of Traffic Engineering that is looking at the one-way, is asking them to reinstitute the no truck traffic signs that they didn't put back as part of the project. To kind of,
That's a good
if we
idea.
narrow that down and have it one-way, that one-way section is all residential, between Kendall and Route 50. The houses are very close to the roadway, and it wouldn't really be appropriate to continue to have truck traffic in that section of Mount Pleasant Tucker.
I think that makes sense.
How about, what about our public works trucks?
This would just be from Kendall
Oh.
to Route 50, the same section that they want.
Same section.
one-way.
I mean,
One way.
I'm talking about collection of trash and that kind of stuff.
That doesn't, those prohibitions do not affect local deliveries or public works vehicles that have to make stops along any route. It's really preventing through truck traffic, so to speak, from entering that road.
So you want to amend, is that what you're asking, to amend the ordinance draft to include that?
I'm not sure it needs.
It might not be an ordinance. He's asking to make a request to the DOT to reinstall the signs and establish a prohibition.
So the DOT is asking us to make it one way, I'm sure they'll put the sign up.
And is that on Kendall, or
No, Mount Pleasant Tucker.
I think maybe the county the request may have to go to the county as well.
So that's what I was thinking, if we're sending them an ordinance, we might as well include it in the request to the ordinance.
Well, I don't know if it's enforced municipally. I'd have to look into that.
So do we need to amend because we've already said to proceed, so you'll be able to do the...
What we need to do is, I guess, the second motion to encompass whatever needs to be done.
No truck traffic.
To institute a prohibition of no truck traffic. And we'll get it done and bring it to your for your action.
Make a motion that the ordinance include no truck traffic signs.
Second. Call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Colombo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Item number 19, Upper Township Rescue Squad request to hold a trunk or treat fundraising event on October 24th, 2017 at Amanda's Field.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Colombo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 20, Cape May Seashore Lines request to use the Tuckahoe train station for an October Express event on October 24th, 2017, and a fall foliage train ride on October 14th, 20th, and 21st of 2017.
Did they fill out
And they have completed their facility use application. The state police and EMS have both been notified and have no objections that haven't been addressed. And Public Works has been notified as well, and they have no objections to the event.
Has the Historical Society been notified? 'Cause
Yes, Historical Society has
Yeah, that
been
was an
notified.
issue
They are
last year.
actually endorsing this event. Yes.
Okay. Someone make a
Move to
motion.
approve.
Second.
Just call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Colombo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Item number 21, under unfinished business, Cape May County proposal to install centerline rumble strips on several county and municipal roads.
And this is mainly Stagecoach that we're talking about here?
Corson Tavern.
This is all the different, they have Butter, Stagecoach,
Cool.
Weatherby Road, almost all the county roads within the township are on this list.
Is this for speed control?
No, it's for distracted driving.
Distracted driving.
And we're doing 35.
This is second time you've looked at
This
this.
shoots you
Yes.
35 miles an
And
hour.
one of the concerns you had last time was, with this project, does it impact capital project funding, for roadway improvements within the county roads? this is a separate distinct project from the capital project that they would do. So if you said no to a specific road, that would not impact their or any of their funding for capital improvements. Like if we said no on Portion Town Road that's currently under consideration to be resurfaced, that would not have an impact on the construction. Obviously, if there's a road that's going to be constructed within the short term, they wouldn't install rumble strips and then 2 months later tear it up.
The rumble strips make sense in the right place. Strathmere is not the right place for rumble strips. I'm sorry, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, that's my opinion. You're Strathmere residents.
Well, there's a lot of roadways, like he's saying. We have other county roads coming through here, and they're almost residential.
I mean, they're looking at 35, you know, if you're looking to possibly to not do some of the residential roads, you could maybe, look at, maybe you put rumble strips on either 45 mile an hour or maybe just a 50 mile an hour speed roads. And that way it's, the 50 speed roads are Weatherby Road, portions of Washington, or Woodline Road that are out in the more rural areas, Tuckahoe Road, and the non-residential sections where it drops down. So you can maybe put some limitations, not going down the 35 mile an hour speed limit road, which, are the Stagecoach Road, Commonwealth Avenue in Strathmere, move it up to a 45 or 50 mile an hour speed limit.
Do you have a list as far as the roads, as far as what the speed limits are on? I think it
The list, the only ones that, and reviewing the list, the only ones I think that are 35 are Stagecoach and Commonwealth Avenue. All the other roads are at least 45 miles an hour or 50 miles an hour.
What's Butter Road?
I guess
50.
my thing
Butter's
is,
50?
Yes.
the rumble strips were originally designed for no passing zones. So if you're distracted, it's no passing zone, you don't come over. But when you put rumble strips in a passing zone, like on Stagecoach Road, all you're doing is taking away quality of life if everybody lives on that street. That's not going to slow the cars down.
Well, it's not for speed, remember, it's not for speed control, it's for distracted driving. But
Oh, I mean, but
that's
I'm saying,
that's why you might want to recommend going to a higher speed limit, realizing that at 35 miles an hour, you have a little more time for reaction.
to me, they should be in no passing zones only.
I'd be comfortable with 50 miles an hour and above.
Now, I know it's 50 mile an hour in front of my house. And I'm about ready to sell my house because of the state doing it in front of my
We
house.
have roads that are 45 miles an hour, they're almost residential.
Is there county roads that are 45?
Yeah, Tuckahoe Road, from Church Road all the way up in
You're
Roosevelt
talking
Boulevard.
about Church Road, Plutter Road. Right?
He's saying they're 50.
Butter Road's 50. I know Butter Road is 50.
I think only part of it. But you're talking houses that are 20 feet off the street in some areas, 30.
You know, what's difficult about this is that there are areas on Tuckahoe Road where there's no residential, no houses, and it does make sense that they put the rumble strips in there.
Right by
It's like
Shaw's
you can't pick one milepost and put them between these two mileposts. It's,
By Shaw's Pig Farm, there's been multiple accidents over the years.
Exactly.
Would rumble strips resolve some of it? I doubt it.
I mean, to me, making Stagecoach Road and Course and Tavern Road no passing makes more sense. If if you have a car doing 35 or 40 in front of you, you can't pass them, you can't speed. You're going to have to stay more focused.
I mean, most of the Course and Tavern Road now is 45.
Yeah. But again, as a residential use, if it's a no passing zone, I have no problem with that. But you take Stagecoach, you take some of these other side streets that have all the trucks going up and down, cement trucks and everything else, they're riding here at the center line most of the time anyway. That noise is going to be just constant. I get it right in front of my house. And
I mean, that would exclude, if you did over 45, that would exclude Dennisville Road from here, Tuckahoe Road, all the way up past Wincroft.
yeah, I mean, again,
After Wincroft, then
it shouldn't be in a residential zone. I don't know how many live next to it, but I know they took away my quality of life, and I'm 200 feet off the road. I can't open a window up in the summertime because of it. And to me, it doesn't deter anything whatsoever. Enforcement deters it, and we don't have enough enforcement.
They have studies, the state police, I believe, gave a presentation to the township committee that it does result in fewer accidents and safety. So there are studies from a traffic safety standpoint that does
We've
reduce
had just as many accidents on my street with the rumble strips.
I'm just telling you what the state police presented to the township.
I mean, I'm not going to endorse them, I'm just letting you know up front. I think it's ridiculous in a residential zone.
Reading from the county letter, the Federal Highway Administration report says the center line rumble strips reduce crash frequency by 45% on rural two-lane roads and 64% on urban two-lane roads.
They, like I said, I bet none of them living on those streets though. You can do what they want, but.
So, is there interest in at least allowing it to move forward, what did we say, 50 miles or greater?
Yeah, I would say 50 miles an hour or greater.
Are you willing to make a motion to such effect?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
No.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried with 3 in favor.
And I believe they were planning to for resolution, so we have a resolution at the next meeting.
They asked for a letter,
Oh, is that,
a letter concurring on the roads that you indicated, so you'd have to tell them which roads.
I mean, I can go through and,
So that motion was in the form of directing the engineer to take appropriate action.
Yes.
I thought that's what Mr. Barr was thinking.
Paul, take the appropriate action.
Portions of road.
Would someone like to make a motion to pay the bills?
I hereby move that all claims submitted for payment at this meeting be approved and then incorporated in full in the minutes of this meeting.
Second, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
So there are 3 reports from our municipal departments, Animal Control Division of EMS, and MUA report. These will all be available upon request tomorrow morning at the clerk's office, but I'll make a motion to accept these reports.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
So at this time, we've reached the public comment portion of the meeting, and if anyone would like to address the Township Committee, now's the time to do so. Please state your name and your address and your reason for speaking with the Township Committee.
Mike Jones, 263 Marshall Road, Tuckahoe. Rumble strips, Mr. Young, we understand you don't like them, but the state police did their study, and the study is what there is. Now, I was in Ohio not too long ago, and you might want to look at this. I was in corn country, so the only thing that you're going to run into is a row of corn. For every 200 acres, there's one house. The rumble strips are 4 inches wide with a white line. And they're spaced out every 20 feet. There's a line, then there's no line, then there's 20 feet of rumble strips. Maybe you should do your homework and look into that before we go against what they've done as studies for safety measures. That's an option. Look into it. It may pay off because that rumble strip is not as loud.
Very well might, but we're not included in the design of it, Mike. We're not included in the design part of this.
It's not a design, it's the
So-
rumble strip, whether it's 12 inches or 4 inches. I'm just giving you an option to look at.
but we would have no control over the design and spacing of how the normal strip is set up. That is by ASHTO code and how they set up their state and codes.
I was just giving you an option, you know.
And I agree, Mike. They save lives on the right streets in the right situation. Yeah, I agree. And I think there's other alternatives. But rumble strips on Marshallville Road with the houses 10 feet off of it, whether it's 20,
You been to Forest right there? You been to Forest Other money island. There's rumble strips out there.
I'm just saying, quality of life to me is, destroyed when you do it in residential area.
Anyone else would like to address the Township Committee? I said, is there anyone else?
Is this the same property that you asked about a month or two ago?
Yes,
And this is the one that Shelley Lee has given opinions on, correct?
I don't know if she did.
That you asked for a cease and desist, and did she give you an opinion on that?
No,
Did she give you a determination? Did she give a determination as to whether or not the use is permitted or not? I thought she did.
no. She said she did, but I,
Well, that's the correct person you should be talking to. If it's the same property, I believe she made determinations as a zoning officer. And Natalie, we've talked about this, frankly, ad nauseum. You come in and ask the same question about the same property.
question, I'm complaining about it because, it's my understanding that this board has chosen Shelley Lee as the zoning officer. And, at this point, I believe that, Zimmerman is, or this township board is in violation of the master plan because it is a residential.
That's a determination, as you've been told many times before, that's a determination of the zoning officer. The zoning officer makes a decision. If you don't like that decision of the zoning officer, you have a right within the statutory period to appeal to the zoning board. This is the same information you've been given time and time again on the same problem with your neighbor. This board has no power over what you're asking.
It's my understanding that this board is supposed to enforce the ordinances of this township in compliance with the master plan.
I answered your question. I don't know what else to tell you.
Just for the record, Mr. Young, I have a conflict with this. I'm
Okay.
done
Thank you.
working, Mr. Young.
Furthermore, the man has a parking lot mobile home on the property, and Shelley hasn't responded to that either. And also, it's my contention that within a few hundred feet, lot 476-1 is a contaminated site. And I don't believe that this man, Zimmerman, has usable water on his site, and he's commercially selling animals off of it. Sheep, goats, and he does not have farmland assessment that the county said that he does not meet the criteria at this point. The last planning board meeting I was at, there was a document discussed that was given to me. It talks about chapter 19 and chapter 20. And I thought they told us, because the meeting ran over, that this was going to be discussed at their next meeting. I didn't realize that chapter 19 was going to be adopted tonight.
So it wasn't adopted, it was introduced.
And that's a difference.
That's a different ordinance.
What's that?
That's a different ordinance.
Different ordinance. Yeah, it's a different ordinance. They're apparently working on a larger scale revision of the site plan subdivision ordinance. That was only a clarification. What's in tonight is a one-line clarification.
Okay, well, there's a lot of information in this document.
Are you talking about the one that was introduced today, or are you talking about from the planning board?
The one that was given to me at
Which
the planning board meeting.
that's still in its preliminary stages.
That's a preliminary draft that they haven't even finished yet. That has nothing to do with what we've done tonight.
Well, somehow, chapter 19,
There's a one-line change of clarification of site plan requirements for chapter 19. That's it. In tonight, in the introduction, the ordinance that was introduced tonight. What you're looking at is something completely different.
And you outline the provision that was added, that's included in the ordinance that was introduced tonight, is not in that document.
Okay, well, there's a section in here, to revise section Schedule A, and you want to remove pole barns and note 8, and I really object to that.
This township committee hasn't even seen what you're looking at.
Well, they'll just adopt it.
They did not. That is the planning board's work product that has not even been finalized yet and has not been sent to the Township Committee. So they have no knowledge of what you're talking about.
And they have no knowledge of it. They want to take out tractor trailers as a permitted use in this township also.
Again, these are all preliminary. They haven't been presented to committee yet or brought to the public for comment yet.
I believe that's not tractor trailers on the highway, that's tractor trailers used as a lawn ornament. Lawn ornament. A storage shed or
Even if it's been there for 30 years.
It has yet to be discussed or determined. This is still in the planning board stages, not the
if
township
it's
committee.
been there
stages.
30 years, it's been grandfathered in, I'm sure.
Well, I'm not sure, I heard they don't want to allow grandfathering. So that's why I want to get it out. You know,
We don't have control.
people should know about it.
Now, we don't have control as the planning board to control grandfathering. That's controlled under state statutes. So as far as, again, this is all preliminary. It's going to be discussed at the planning board meeting again. And then once we're finished, then it'll get presented to the township committee for first reading and then public reading before it's adopted. And at that point, you'll have your chance to have your input.
And it could be amended at this level too.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you'll be mentioning about horse trailers in there, because I happen to hear you talk about horse trailers and President.
Again, it's all
If
preliminary.
you're concerned about that ordinance at this stage, you need to go to the planning board. It's not before the Township Committee.
I was at the planning board.
Well, but that doesn't help you here tonight. It's not before the Township Committee. It's not before them. They don't even know, the majority of the board doesn't know what you're talking about.
I think it's farm exempt. Farm exempt.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the Township Committee? Okay, it doesn't appear there's anyone else who would like to address the Township Committee, so I'll close the public portion, and I will make a motion to go into executive session. I hereby move that a resolution be incorporated into the minutes authorizing the Township Committee to enter into an executive session for the following matters pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. The matters: 1, personnel; 2, contract negotiation, animal control services; 3, contract negotiation, additional liability insurance for nonprofit organizations; 4, contract negotiation, Bayview Avenue boat ramp; 5, contract negotiation, Atlantic Investigations; 6, contract negotiation, conflict tax assessor; 7, contract negotiation, safety and security, and fall festival insurance; 8, potential litigation, 30 Rivendell Road. I also include in my motion the estimated time and the circumstances under which the discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public as follows. A, it is anticipated that the matters discussed in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Committee that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. With respect to employment and personnel matters, such discussions will be made public if and when formal action is taken or when the individuals involved consent that it can be made public. With respect to contract negotiations, such matters will be made public when the negotiations have ceased and there is no longer a reason for confidentiality. With respect to litigation matters, such discussions will be made public when the litigation is complete and the application appeal period has expired.
Second.
Would you call the roll?
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mr. Person?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you all for attending this evening. Please have a safe journey home and enjoy the rest of the week.